It's now been 15 days since we introduced our exciting Wealth Generation Flywheel, which uses cash flow from ultra-high yield income ETFs to buy the Apex Sound Money Bitcoin. So in this video, we're going to check in and see if the flywheel is living up to its promise of massive wealth generation. And spoiler alert, it's doing great. So hit that like, lock in, and let's get started. Well, if you missed it, watch our video describing our flywheel construction and how the M1 app lets you manage your portfolio as a pie with slices for each asset. Now, our flywheel is composed of 84% income ETFs and 16% sound money, primarily Bitcoin and gold. Now, we selected our 10 ETFs from the Bitbagger Income ETF Blended Power Rankings, which are updated weekly. So check the High Yield Income ETFs playlist for the latest rankings. Now, we launched our flywheel on September 1st with an initial value of $80,000. So let's open up the M1 app and see how it's doing. So here's our flywheel portfolio in the M1 app. From a starting value of $80,000, it's now grown to $84,038. And that is with distributions reinvested. Now here you can see each of the assets in the flywheel, which is current value in dollars, and then actual size of the pie as a percentage relative to the target that we set at the beginning. And you can see in the case of Ulti right here, that its actual size right now is 14.8%, which is a little less than its initial target of 15. And that's because it has underperformed relative to the other assets in the flywheel. As an example, BitB, which is the spot Bitcoin ETF, is up to 10.1% of the fly relative to the target of 10% because Bitcoin has outperformed the other assets in our flywheel. Now, one of the great features of M1 is the MWR, or the money weighted return, which shows the total returns for each of the assets based on its share price performance and any distributions received so far. And if I sort by MWR, I can see that the top performer in our flywheel so far is YieldMax's TSMY, based on Taiwan Semiconductor, with an 8.71% total return. Number 2 is Roundhill's YBTC, which sells covered call options on Bitcoin with a 7.4% return. And then number 3 is YieldMax's PLTY, based on Palantir, with a 6.71% return. Now, if we sort by the least to greatest MWR, we see that our worst performer is Strategy's MSTR, which is not an income ETF. It's one of our 3 store value assets along with Bitcoin and gold. So this is not generating any distribution income or dividends, but the stock price itself is down 1.92% over the first 15 days of September. And the second worst performer is MSTY, which is YieldMax's fund that trades covered calls on MSTR stock. And this would not be surprising to any Misty investors because that also has been struggling as a result of MSTR struggling lately. And in this case, MSTY is only at 0.02% since the beginning of September. So let's look at the M1 activity tab. And here we can see the dividends that have been streaming in so far in the first 15 days of September. Some of the ETFs are paying weekly and some are paying monthly. Ulti, YBTC, and QDTE, they pay weekly. Some of the larger payments are coming from our monthly pairs like NVDY and PLTY with their $200 to $100 payouts. Now, the other feature of M1 in the holdings tab, projection of dividend income, and we can look over the next 12 months and see that so far in September, we received $1,585 in dividends, and the projection for the next 12 months is $32,461, or in an average month, they're projecting we would receive $2,705. Now, so far, first 15 days of September, we received $1,584. So we're a little bit ahead of pace on their projection for an average month. So that gives you an idea of the growth of our portfolio so far, with $1,585 in dividends earned, and then a total portfolio value of $84,038 with those distributions reinvested. We received 2% of the portfolio in income, which would be an annualized 48% income payout. And then looking at the total return with distributions reinvested, we see that with an end value of $84,038, total gain of $4,000, that's a return of 5% in 15 days. Or on an annualized basis, that will come out to 123%. So to the answer to the question, is the flywheel living up to the promise of massive wealth generation? I'd say 123% is really good. Admittedly, we're only 15 days into the experiment, so we have a long ways to go to see how that plays out in different market conditions. But as a fun exercise, I also just want to take a peek right now at how this flywheel is performing relative to other investments that you might be considering. In this case, we'll look at Bitcoin, gold, stocks in the form of the S&P 500 index, and then JEPQ, which is the JP Morgan covered call income ETF based on the NASDAQ 100. So it's a very high performing income fund by JP Morgan. And what we see here is that Bitcoin in the first 15 days of September has an annualized return of 161%. Gold has seen an annualized return of 142%. Our flywheel, of course, is at 123, JEPQ at 98, and S&P 500 stocks at 81%. So you see that our flywheel is handily beating the stock market, but behind Bitcoin and gold. So this is just after the first 15 days of September. Obviously, we need to wait a few more months just to see how it's playing out with our income strategy. In general, we expect an income strategy to underperform high-performing growth assets, Bitcoin being the ultimate store of value asset and one of the highest performing growth assets over the past 15 years. So just a reminder to make sure you have exposure to Bitcoin. And that is what we're trying to do in the form of the growth assets percentage of our flywheel with the income from the ETFs flowing into Bitcoin, gold, and strategy stock. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick update to our Wealth Generation Flywheel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I post future updates on the flywheel over changing market conditions. If you have any questions or comments on how you construct your own flywheel, throw those in the comments below and I'll check them out. And lastly, if you want to try the M1 app out for yourself, feel free to use my referral link for a possible $75 bonus. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video and share it out to those you love. And until next time, be wise, be safe, and stack sats.